In 1964, Granada Television brought together a group of 7-year-olds.
When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut.
We have followed their lives every 7 years.
I don't want to keep still. It's life, you know. Don't wait for nobody.
They talked about their dreams.
If I could have 2 girls and 2 boys.
Their ambitions.
I'd quite like to get into politics.
And their fears for the future.
Life is what happens while you're waiting for something else.
I don't think life is there to be regretted.
You've got to make the most of it while you've got it.
That's how you become the person you are.
It's a picture of how any person, how they change.
Give me a child until he is 7, and I will give you the man.
Is it important to fight? Yes.
Tony was brought up in the East End of London.
I want to be a jockey when I grow up. Yeah, I want to be a jockey when I grow up.
At 14, he was already an apprentice at Tommy Gosling's racing stable at Epsom. At 15, he'd left school.
This is a photo finish when I rode at Newbury. I'm the one with the white cap. I was beating a length and a half a third and had a photo finish.
Do you regret not making it?
Well, I would have given my right arm at the time to become a jockey. But now, well, I wasn't good enough. My greatest fulfilment in life, when I rode at Kempton, in the same race as Lester Piggott. Proudest day of my life.
What will you do if you don't make it as a jockey?
I don't know. If I knew I couldn't be one, I'd get out of the game. Wouldn't bother.
And what do you think you would do then?
Lower on taxes.
At 21, he was on the Knowledge, and by 28, he owned his own cab.
I'll give you this story, which happened. The doorman called me up, and it was Buzz Aldrin, the spaceman. And we drove out the forecourt of the hotel, and a cab pulled up, and the taxi driver said, "Can you get his autograph?" So I heard it and say, "Mr. Aldrin," I said, "can I have your autograph, please?" And the cabbie said, "No, I don't want his autograph. I want your autograph." And I couldn't believe it. I said, "You're joking, ain't you?" And to this day, I thought myself, you know, I'm more famous than Buzz Aldrin. He was the second man to land on the moon.
At 42, Tony had left the East End and moved the family to Woodford in Essex.
Well, I think we overspent about, a colossal amount. Thousands.
At 49, they'd taken out a second mortgage on the London house and put the money into a holiday home in Spain. So it's 7 years since we did this.
It's flown by, Michael, just gone.
What's life been like since we did 56 Up?
Well, when we had our last interview, if you remember, I was in Spain and I was looking for a business to sort of set up. From here, there's going to be all commercial units here. My intentions would be to turn one of these units into a sports bar.
Did you have financial difficulties?
There was no money out there. All the businesses started to close. Audi had come along and built a brand new supermarket there. So all my aspirations and dreams went out the window. And people kept coming back from their dream, also evaporated, and they come back. So my wife and I, we decided to pack up and come back and sell our house and consolidate all our finances. I wished I was still there, and I wished it was a vibrant city, which I could have had an input in, because I would have loved to have maintained my property out there. It was a dream come true from a boy in the buildings. You must understand. I'm only a cabbie.
Have you got a girlfriend?
Nope.
Would you like to have a girlfriend?
Nope.
You understand 4 Fs? Find them, feed them, and forget them. With the other F, I'll let you use your own discrimination. I mean, this one, I tried to do the 3 Fs, but I couldn't forget her.
And why did you fall in love with him?
Don't know.
I don't know how. I don't know how you put up with me for so long.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how I stand him.
I'm not proud at all to say this, but situations arise that I have had regretful behaviour various times, but through...
You got caught?
No,
And that was it?
I owe Debbie everything because She stuck by me. And then, at the end of it, I still love her so. And that's the reason why.
So is this a tough time for cabbies at the moment?
Uber and all these other companies trying to sort of take a piece of the cake, they're coming in and they're getting licenses willy-nilly.
Is there a war going on between the cabbies and Uber?
What they've done to the cab trade with a 250-year-old history, I cannot stress enough. So all the cabbies, 4,000 of us, got our placards. We marched to Downing Street on a demonstration. And I, for one, will be there again, beating my drum for the black taxi trade.
How much have you lost in yearly salaries?
I would certainly say a third, which is a big kick in the rear, and it's really hurtful.
And what about Debbie? Has she been hit by it?
Well, of course, we've all been hit by it. That's why I'm back in Essex now. Come on, Daisy. Come on. Look at that head on that horse. Oh, lovely.
Really, it was me. I decided that I wanted to move from where we used to live. And I come up here one day and this one was up for sale. And then he came up here.
Saw the horses?
And he saw the horses out here and he fell in love with it.
You've got to be 50 years old to live here. You've got a lot of elderly people here, but they're all ex-old East Enders, and they're all sort of like, you know, traditional East Enders.
It's all forest round here. Got a little pub up the road. If you go out there, you can get pie-eyed and walk down if you want.
Nature is the winner for me. You know, I come home at night, I see foxes running about, reindeers at 1 o'clock in the morning after I've done a night's work in my cab. And life couldn't be better, really, living up here.
How is life going for you two in your marriage?
Yeah, solid. Would you say it's solid?
Yeah, it's good at the moment, yeah. We've overcome a lot of ups and downs, but who don't?
Do you notice a change in each other?
Have we or what? I don't know.
Not really. He's never changed, has he, really?
Well, he seems, to me, more grown up, more mature and everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. But no, I mean, he is what he is and nothing's going to change him.
There's only one ambition, and really, I want a baby son, and if I see my baby son, that is my ambition fulfilled. No one knows that, only you now.
Debbie and Tony have 3 children, Nikki, Jodie and Perry.
Nicky, as you know, he was a French polisher, which is a dying trade in England. So we funded him, me and Debbie, on the knowledge. I couldn't ask for more. To be more proud for when he got his badge. It was a gift from God for what happened.
Perry's at college at the moment, training to be a TA, teacher's assistant, because she wants to do a job that fits in with the schools.
High five! Now, whoever wins gets a packet of sweets, okay? We've got 6 grandchildren, the 3 young kids, Perry's kids, my youngest daughter. Quick! If it goes in, you get a £5. Ooh! Jodie's still trying to find her way in life. She's 37 now. Life's not been too good for her at this present time.
Why? What are you going to get from
Debbie and I do everything we can to get her back on her feet. And... excuse me. When you visually see it happening, you can see the change in her attitude, you can see the change in her appearance. It's not a nice place to be, watching your daughter struggle.
Jodie has a daughter, Tony.
Debbie and I have brought her up solely. All I can say is she's turned out beautiful.
We're very proud of Tony. She's had to overcome a lot in her life, but she's doing well.
Do you know all the girls and all the kids are going? She works hard in the pub. She saves her own money. She's got her own independence. An old head on young shoulders, Michael. She's very, very efficient. I'm in 2 golf societies.
And who are the guys you play with?
Well, they're mostly publicans or taxi drivers, you know. We always end up, you know, having a small bet.
It's good. Great shot. Great shot.
Right, 10 and a man, OK?
No, Tone, no. Make it a fiver. You took our money last week.
I don't know what stretch to a
Give
tenner,
us all
Tone.
a chance, would you? Oh,
That's got 460 on the metre, that has.
So how's your health these days?
I've got DVT, which is deep vein thrombosis. A condition from my family, from my brother, my sister. We've all been affected by DVT. And I'm on warfarin now for the rest of my life because I did have a pulmonary embolism, which I had a blockage and it went to my lung. If it would have gone to my brain or my heart, then I wouldn't be having this interview with you now. Nice one. That's it. I'm more health conscientious than I've ever been, really. And,
Well, you ain't, because you eat a lot of chocolate.
well, I accept that. That's fair enough.
Well,
but,
that's
I mean,
not
that's
health conscious, is it?
All right, I'll give you that one. But I don't smoke and I don't drink. And trust me, I exercise. And most of all, I don't do any... what do they call it? Yeah, all right.
But that's machinery under there, too. That's a
That's not mine.
No, exactly. In 1964, we asked Tony what he thought about the English class system.
The Prussians. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. They're nuts. Just have to touch them. Have you all got to work for it? And it's them who can just ask for money and get it. And they can buy what they want.
55 to 20, Boris. £55 20, Boris. I'm one of the tailenders. You think, oh, the East End boy, you know, and he ain't got a no good education. But all of a sudden, the East End boy's got a car, motorbike, and he goes to Spain every year. There's no education in this world. It's just one big rat race, and you've got to kill your man next year to get in front of him. But at the end of the day, it's always them and us. And for me, it's still them and us. Obviously, if you come from with a silver spoon, you're going to get more attractive jobs and easier life and an easier success. But that don't mean they don't have to work for it. I feel that the economy will bust within 5 years because people like myself have been giving and giving all the time. We're paying. Now, someone's getting it at our expense.
What's your thinking about Brexit?
Brexit? Well, I was a leaver. I wanted to pass in my cab at the House of Commons and look up and think to myself, that's where we make the decisions, like Great Britain. And I thought myself, you know, this is what I wanted. But then again, they've moved the goalposts. And even now, nearly 2 years down the line, I'm even getting second thoughts that we should have remained. I would never vote Tory again, and I've been a Tory vote for all my life. And probably I might even vote for the Greens.
Do you have much to do with villains?
I won't say I'm a villain myself. I don't go thieving or I don't do anybody any harm, fighting-wise.
Does it worry you, the possibility of becoming one of them?
How can I become a villain? If it's not in there, if it's not born in you, you won't become one. Yeah, you had visions of me being in the nick in the next 7 years, you know, and you made a great mistake there, Michael.
Well, thank God, yeah, but it seemed possible because things were pretty rough.
I was 21. I mean, everyone's allowed to be 21. Four and a half 50s. If your father gambles, I'll try my luck, see what he does. I'd never had visions of me being anything else other than a good citizen. I mean, I am a cheeky chappy, and I'll accept that, and I'll promise that sometimes I push the barrier to the limits. I'm just walking. But in saying that, you are giving your truthful opinion at that particular time. And I've always worn my heart on the sleeve, and I like to think so, give you a credible, truthful, honest opinion what's going on in my life. I mean, that's the way I am. Tell me, son, what do you want to be a cab driver for, mate? All the holidays in Spain every year, but son, it's hard work out here.
Come on,
mate.
you're not reaching me yet.
Not getting to
No, you're not getting to me. All right? Now, be bigger. Dominate me. All right?
Son.
At 28, Tony was taking acting lessons. Now he supplements his income with occasional TV jobs.
Oi! That's all I got on me. Mate, if I had a pound for every time I've heard that, I'd be a rich man. It's exciting times for me because I've got a part in a film and it's showing a premiere tonight. I've been struggling as a film extra in 1976 when I first started on the Sweeney. Last year was A Child in Time with Benedict Cumberbatch. Debbie's over there at the bar. She's a bit nervous about it. I mean, hopefully that I've come out with some credibility on the part, and most of all, I wanted to say to her, if she sees her husband up there rather than the character, then I know I haven't done my job.
You fucking tell that Chinaman he'd be in there eating egg fried rice in a minute. What's the matter with you?
It's called 90 Minutes, but the best thing about it was the cast and crew all become one big family, and it was a joy to go and work on Hackney Marshes, incidentally where I used to play football and referee, and it was like going home.
Would everybody please sit round now? Get on with their work. I don't want to see any backs to me. Tony, do you hear as well?
One of the things at the beginning of the programme is show me the child and I will show you the man.
You look at me at 7 and you look at me even now at 63. There's no possible way that you can't say that's not him now and that's not him then. You got it right with me.
I read the Financial Times. I read the Observer and the Times. I'm going to Charter House. And after that, Trinity Hall, Cambridge.
Andrew went to Charterhouse and Cambridge, where he read law.
I'd like to be a solicitor and also fairly successful.
At 28, Andrew was a solicitor.
What do you think about girlfriends at your age?
And
Tell me what you think.
I've got one, but I don't think much of her.
They're no longer just bores who won't play this or something, and you can begin to talk to them.
I don't think I financially come from the same background. Andrew didn't go for a haughty Deb. He went for a good Yorkshire lass.
By the time he was 28, Andrew had married Jane.
Well, I suppose the most important thing that's happened is that we've had 2 children. One 5 years ago, Alexander, and then a couple of years later, Timothy.
By 35, he'd become a partner in his law firm.
Smile!
And later he joined the legal department of a large British industrial company. A few years after, they were taken over by a German firm. So how are the other members of the family?
Well, Alexander, who was going out with Philippa when we last met, got married about 3.5 years ago, and they're now both working and living in London. Timothy worked for a management consultancy in the IT area and then decided to specialise in IT, and he's gone to Birmingham University and he's reading computer science there.
Andrew and Jane live in London, but they have a second home in the country.
Well, we bought it about just when we got married, and it was a 200-year-old barn that we bought in an auction, completely derelict, nothing in it at all except for manure.
I remember the garden when you were like up to your eyeballs in weeds and stuff like that.
Well, we moved in about 35 years ago, and we've been working on it ever since, really. It's a never-ending job.
I think the country has helped with him relaxing when he's had very intense periods of working.
Don't you ever have any arguments or disagreements?
Yes, of course we do.
And how do you tend to sort them out?
Jane is always right.
If only. He's quite strong in his decisions, and I'm not. So it really compliments me that he can help me to make a decision when I'm umming and ahhing.
So you be careful, sweetheart.
Yeah, well, I'll be careful.
I think I'll hold the ladder for you.
OK, thank you.
The latest thing we did, we went to Japan a few years ago, and we saw some very nice Japanese gardens in Kyoto. And we decided that we'd have a go at doing something like that here as well.
Most dangerous things I do, climb up that ladder.
Work is pretty stressful, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty used to it now. I've been doing it for 40 years, so you get pretty used to it. But in fact, I'm retiring at the end of this year, which I'm looking forward to.
let's go. Where are we going? We're going to...
One of the reasons why I wanted to retire now is really because we're relatively young, to make the most of that time. We're in a bit of a sweet spot now, I think, in terms of going travelling and so on. Maybe in 5, 10 years' time, that won't be possible.
Yes.
And the worst thing is you hear about people who retire and then just drop dead. Looking back, I would have liked to have spent a bit more time with the family, rather than giving so much priority to work. When you're young and trying to make your career, it all seems terribly important to you to spend that extra few hours at the office. But in the scheme of things, it probably would have been better to, go to the school play or the sports day or whatever. I mean, my mother died 3 years ago, and that was quite sad to see her deteriorate. And make you realise, what's in store for you.
And you can never be sure of leaving your children any worldly goods, but at least you can be sure that once you've given them a good education, that's something that no one can take away.
Did you ever resent going to boarding school?
I did go very young, and we did decide that we would not send our children to boarding school at such young an age. I think it's still an age when you really want to be the one who has the most influence on their lives, rather than them spending their lives with some third party who's going to influence them. The dream for us is that our children have a happy and fulfilling life.
Do you think you have?
Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate.
But you worked for it?
Yes, as they will have to.
When I go home, I have tea. Then I practice my piano.
One of the things about the series is the idea that you see the man in the child. Is that true?
Obviously at the age of 7, you're very much a product of your upbringing up to then. I can have quite strong feelings, but Jane's been quite a good influence on me over the years, so making me more mellow, including in my driving and that sort of thing.
I mean, do you think there's any truth in the ideas behind the programme, that certain people have more options than others, and this is undesirable?
We do have more options, and it is undesirable, but it's very difficult to correct.
I think the class system itself is now based more on fame and what you've achieved in financial terms. Achievement is obviously more appropriate than what class you were born into.
What's it actually been like being in the programme?
I certainly don't look forward to it every 7 years, but because I don't have a particularly good memory, it's quite interesting for me to see what I was like when I was younger as well. I think we still all feel very nervous doing this, but I suppose as you get a bit older, you feel less inhibited. Maybe going back to what you were like not quite going back to what you were like when you were 7, but you've got less to lose, I guess.
If we did all love Jeffrey and we all want to marry him, I think I know the one that he likes best, and that's her. She keeps changing her mind, though. Yeah, I don't know which one, really.
Sue grew up in the East End of London.
I don't think I'd get married too early. I'd like to have a full life first.
Marriage just means a different thing to me. I've still got my ideals about marriage. I don't know what it's all about.
Sue was 24 when she married Billy, and they had 2 children.
60.
To get married young, there must be things that you miss. You must miss that crucial stage of being yourself, because the minute you get married, you're no longer a single being. You're a partnership, and that should be the idea behind it.
By the time Sue was 35, she was divorced.
I've never sat down and thought, well, what was it? Was it this? Was it that? I just knew it wasn't working. I mean, there have been relationships when I could have settled, but they didn't feel quite right. So I've always come away and pulled away and just waited until the right one come along, if they ever do.
At 42, when we filmed Sue in the karaoke bar, she brought Glenn along to watch her sing.
Well, we've been engaged now for about 14 years. I've not beaten any records, but it's quite a long time, isn't it? Yeah.
Where you going?
Yeah, I'm old.
So what is the status with you and Glenn?
We're still in the middle of the longest engagement known to man. We've been together now over 20 years. Still not married. Never say never. But no plans.
Where?
Goldfish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're both fine as it is, and if we do it, it's just going to be, let's do it. A spur of the moment thing, and, you know, we love each other, we've got a nice life.
The boat's there.
He came along at the right time for me. I've been on my own with the kids for quite a few years. He probably had the worst years, really, you know, the teenage years, but he's stuck around, bless him.
We go to Zante.
He's been so supportive. There's been some medical stuff and some scary stuff going on, and he's been there and he's been my rock.
Sometimes we go out and play nicely with the boys, and sometimes we go out and argue with the boys.
He's having a new love in his life, which has been very, very difficult for me. Who are you on the phone to?
What do you mean?
Motorbikes.
God.
But he does like me to get involved in this, and I won't get on the back of it. Not yet. Maybe when he's had a few more years of experience under his belt.
Have you and Glenn thought of having your own child?
Well, Glenn got with me when I was in my 40s, and I didn't want to do all that again. I would have loved to have had a baby because he would make a wonderful parent. But the timing was off.
So she's your baby?
She's my new baby, yeah. Yeah, my kids are my babies, but she's my new baby.
So...
She's our baby. Mine and Glenn's. We lost our Jessie, and Jessie was the star. She got to a good old age, and we lost her. The grief is unbearable when you lose a dog. People with pets will know. And then a friend of mine asked me to take her dog, and they brought her around to meet us. Well, it was like, how could you not love her? You know, she's gorgeous.
Hang on, Moles.
I do quite a bit of typing, but a lot of my work is involved in making bookings and dealing with hotels abroad.
At 21, Sue worked for a travel agent. At 35, part-time for a building society.
Everything's changed for me because I'm now supporting myself a lot more.
At 42, she went back to work full-time, helping to run the courses in the legal faculty of Queen Mary College, University of London. At 49, she was the main administrator for their postgraduate programme. Do you like the responsibility?
Yeah, I love the responsibility. I think I was born for the responsibility.
You can't do two modules that are taught at the same time, obviously. You know, it's physically impossible for us to timetable every single module.
Nothing really has changed. I'm still working for Queen Mary, 20 years under my belt, but I still enjoy it. Once you get to your 60s, it all gets a bit, like, how long have we got now? Like, how many years is it? You know, counting down, but no, still got the energy, thank goodness.
So what happens when you get to your 70s, you think?
Oh, God. Well, you tell me, Michael, you know. I've worked all my life, you know. I can't imagine not working. I work at home one day a week now, which is good because the central line was killing me. It's such an awful experience. Thank you very much. See you at graduation, yeah? Bye. All right.
Do you have a retiring age there? Or...
I think mine is 66. I say I'm not looking forward to it, but I don't know really if I am because I can't imagine what it's like to fill your days.
Where does the life of my respectable middle-class mother overlap with a working-class slapper who leaves a illegitimate child on a church doorstep?
She was not!
You don't know!
I still do my drama, do me lovey stuff, as Glenn calls it. I like to sing, perform, and that's my hobby.
Cheers!
Cheers to the in-laws! Today we're having a very lovely afternoon tea. So it's just a small gathering, just to celebrate my birthday. When I got married, the primary reason was because I wanted to have a child. The two, to me, went together.
How are the two children doing?
Brilliantly. They've both bought their own flats and they're both independent people, good jobs. Both my kids are single still. Both haven't met Mr. Right. They seem to be happy and they're a joy to me. Well, I'm telling you now, that little pink cake over there. And I do worry about the future for younger generations, you know, what's going to happen, because the NHS cannot carry on like this. It can't cope. It can't cope now. I think I'm probably the last generation that will get a decent NHS service.
Don't like people too posh. They look down on everybody else.
I think they're better.
Yeah.
At the roots of this film is the class system. Do you think it's still alive and well?
You are what you're born into. You'll never be upper class because you're born into upper class. But you can mix in those circles. I mean, I don't know, I've never been upper class. I'm never likely to be upper class in my life. Working class, always.
I don't see why they should have the luck when people have worked all their lives and haven't got half as much as what they have. It just don't seem fair.
People are struggling now. Benefits are not what they used to be. I mean, I work in London, so I see homeless people all the time. I don't remember it being that bad when I was younger. I suspect it was there, but I don't remember it being as bad as that. My generation, we had wonderful support from the council, which meant that if your parents were council tenants, you would get a council house, which got me into a house, which then enabled me to buy it and get onto the housing ladder and change my life. But that's not there anymore. Now, council housing is so difficult to get. You know, you've practically got to be homeless.
What would you do if you had lots of money? About, me, £2. Me.
One of the premises of the film is, give me a child until you're 7 and I will show you the man. Do you think that's true?
I think it probably is, to an extent.
But you never fight with them?
You can be born shy. You can be born as an extrovert. You can be someone who likes to make people laugh. You can be someone who's much quieter and deeper. And I think that's in you. But then life happens, and every experience will change you. My mum and dad, thank the Lord, are still with us and fighting, fit. Not fit, but fighting to be fit, you know. My mum's currently in hospital.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
I mean, I've lost family members, yeah, and everything's sad, but I can't say I've had a huge tragedy in my life yet, Michael. You know, we know what's coming.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile.
Do you think that these films have any value?
Well, they have a value to me because it's a lifelong achievement to be part of this programme, you know? And I'm astounded sometimes by the people that I meet, and they all know about this programme. They might not have watched all of it, but they'll have a memory from it. They pick up on things that I think affect them. The things we go through are what everyone's going through.
Cheers!
When I grow up, I'd like to find out all about the moon and all that.
Nick, a farmer's son, grew up in the Yorkshire Dales.
And I said I was interested in physics and chemistry. Well, I'm not going to do that here.
At 14, he was away at boarding school, and at 21, reading physics at Oxford. So what career are you going to pursue?
It depends whether I'll be good enough to do what I want to really do. I would like, if I can, to do research.
By 28, he had moved to America and was doing research into nuclear fusion at the University of Wisconsin.
The fusion reaction gives off energy and produces the power that would be turned into electrical
energy and sent out to the consumer.
How hot is it in there?
In there, it's at about 10 million degrees.
At 35, he was an associate professor, and at 42, a full professor.
My ambition as a scientist is to be more famous for doing science than for being in this film, but unfortunately, Michael, it's not going to happen.
Now, you want some water? Do you want constant water here?
I am seriously ill. I have a cancer in my throat. And I don't know what the prognosis, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm not really focused on the long-term future. I'm focused on fairly short-term futures at the moment. A lot of the treatments that I've been having are things that are not good for your blood. And I'd had a couple of them in rapid succession, I guess. And so, yeah, my blood's a bit thin at the moment. 10 days ago, I went in and had a blood test. And the nurse told me that the level of my hemoglobin was such that she expected me to be in a wheelchair.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I don't want to answer that. I don't answer those kind of questions.
I thought that one would come up because when I was doing the other one, somebody said, "What do you think about girls?" And I said, "I don't answer questions like that." Is that the reason you're asking it?
The best answer would be to say that I don't answer questions like that. But I mean, it was what I said when I was 7, and it's still the most sensible. But I mean, what about them?
I mean, if you'd been somebody who had fixed ideas of a woman's role in marriage that meant dinner on the table at 6 every evening.
Didn't I tell you about that?
By 28, Nick had married Jackie, a fellow student from Oxford.
We don't want to miss out on the chance of having a significant career, and we don't want to miss out on the chance to have kids and to be involved with them. The moment of pure, unadulterated joy in my life was when my son was handed to me when he was born. I have never felt so optimistic, so just purely unworried about anything as that. It was just the strength. It was just, phew. So that's.
And did that last forever?
Well, no. I mean, no, he didn't.
By 42, they were divorced.
What I concluded, and I've talked to other people about this who've gone through it, I'm not sure if they feel it as strongly as I did, but it was like a death. If your spouse died, you could look back and think, well, it was wonderful while it lasted. But in a divorce, you can't look back and say, these are all happy memories. You can talk to me by myself outside, but I'll just meet you by the garage, okay? All right, bye.
Nick's son Adam was 10 when his parents divorced.
When he was first told, he was terribly, terribly upset. And then he just pulled himself together and didn't want to talk about it anymore. Take it easy, Adam. Main thing is not to crash.
Really? You don't want me to crash right now?
How do you deal with it now?
He doesn't talk to me about it very much at all. He's a private person. He's getting more mature, and he has to be very patient with me, really. Can you imagine having me for a dad? Do you think it would be a low-pressure existence? Chris, who is my new wife.
I'm okay.
I don't mean to be superficial, but I think she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
And how's married life?
Well, me being very ill has certainly been a bit of a damper on things, but Chris is being actually a complete angel about it.
Over the years, Nick's research hit trouble, and by 42, he was forced to abandon it.
When I was 13, I got hold of a book which said that we were really in trouble because of pollution. And because of this, I went into this nuclear fusion thing. So I made some choices to start working in this field that handicapped me later.
Because I still can't make it work.
There were scientists in essentially the same organization I was in saying, you cannot build these things. So I had to pay attention. I had to try and do something different.
So the area that I'm looking at is this times this. Put them at meters.
I don't know why I have a compulsion to teach, really. It was just always there in me. I just wanted to do it. I thought I'd be good at it.
So I'm hoping that you will remember me being very stupid and going, ow, there's arrows.
Are you still teaching?
Yes. My students are wonderful.
Yes, that's really impressive.
I'm hanging in there as long as I can with them.
Apparently he was a bit of a jerk.
It's great to be around them. Unless they've got a cold and they're insisting on coughing on me. I try to get them not to cough on me, but it's a bit hard to deflect them.
What attracts you about America?
It's an exciting place to be. There's a lot going on. It's much easier to go out and get things done than in England.
When you came here, was it a surprise to you?
America was quite different than I would have expected.
What do you make of Trump?
Oh, gosh. I don't know how much of what he says is for effect and how much he believes. And that's the huge question in my mind. Yeah. Theresa May was at Oxford at the same time as me. You don't get to do that going to Bradford Poly. Okay, yes, so this was my staircase in my first... You're still seeing that people from the right public schools continue to run the country. Those people are not necessarily the ones who are most fit to run the country. They have a superficial glibness. They can present themselves well on a podium, but it's alarming that they are the only ones who have a clear route to running the country.
They'd like to come out for a holiday in the country when I like to have a holiday in the town.
Do you want to take up farming?
No. I'm not interested in it. My youngest brother, the deaf one, if he can't do anything else, he can probably run a farm. But as a last resort...
It's a fixed reference point, in a sense, the sort of earthy life and death cycle that you get living on a farm.
What did you learn here, do you think, that you've carried with you?
I sort of feel as if you could look deep somewhere inside me. I feel like there's some of this in there somewhere. I think of it as being magnificent, but rather grim, really. And sometimes it's rather tragic, but, you know, it's makes other places you go seem rather trivial as well.
Well, I come up most weekends, and then Chris gets up usually in midweek.
We don't get over to England very often, and so you can count on one hand how many times you're going to see your family before somebody dies. And that's getting more and more pressing every time we come.
Have I seen you since you lost your dad?
No. I loved my dad a lot, but he was an old man, and he was in his mid-80s. I mean, the last time I saw him, there wasn't much left of him. He was a tiny little frail thing who didn't have much to say. I don't...
Okay.
Don't know, I mean, you know me, Michael. I'm sure I haven't dealt with it fully.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But it's full of emotion, always.
It's all the stuff that we repress as hard as we can, isn't it? But, yeah, it really is.
If I can change the world, I'd change it into a diamond.
I'm still the same little kid, really. Probably all of us are. I think I can relate to that little guy. He was sort of all eager and earnest, trying to answer the questions. You know, so yes, I think you can tell I'm still the same kid. I think this film is extremely important. It's important to me, but it seems to be important to other people as well. That doesn't make it an easy thing. It's an incredibly hard thing to be in, and I can't even begin to describe how emotionally draining and wrenching it is just to make the film and to do the interviews. And that's even when I'm pretending that nobody else is watching it. It isn't a picture really of the essence of Nick.
Who is to say what?
It's a picture of every man. It's how a person, any person, how they change. It's made me think about all sorts of things more intensely than I probably would have otherwise. There are lots of issues that it raises that I've stewed over the years. It certainly highlights the difference between living in America and England. Relationships with spouses is given more intensity and focus by being discussed.
What has been the saddest thing?
I mean, right now, I'm struggling with being ill, and I'm very sad for the people who are being affected by that.
I don't know.
Life doesn't turn out the way I expect.
Are you frightened about it?
Not for myself, but for them a bit. Yeah, I'm frightened for them.
And what about the other children? Where are they now? What are they doing?
I would like to get married when I grow up.
I don't think you want to go to university if you want to be an astronaut.
I'm going to work in Woolworths.
My heart's desire is to see my daddy.